5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Here in the Diocese of Sioux Falls, we have a diocesan vision, lifelong Catholic missionary discipleship through God's love. But how do we live that vision? How does one be a missionary disciple? In other words, what are the habits of missionary discipleship? That's what we're going to be talking about today at Ignition. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald, and we want to set your faith ablaze so that you might live the adventure that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Before we get into the topic of habits of missionary discipleship, we want you to know that we love listener feedback. So if you've got questions about today's episode, or if you have ideas for future episodes, please contact us. The easiest way to do so is by email, and the address is ignition@sfcatholic.org. Again, ignition@sfcatholic.org. I'm joined in studio by my pretty much now regular, most of the time, co-host, Renae Kranz.
Regular lately, at least.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
Till I get tired of you, then I'll kick you to the curb.
I can't wait for that day. I'm kidding.
In case somebody hasn't had the pleasure of listening to Ignition before, I don't know why I don't introduce myself when I say that.
Yeah, because
but
you stopped doing that, and you used to.
I know I used to.
Maybe you should think of a new introduction for yourself.
The professionals, other than me, don't really introduce themselves in podcasts.
Oh, okay. So why am I?
Because you're not a professional.
Wow.
I don't know. Because you're like the guest host.
Guest host. Okay, yeah. You're right, because I'm not always here.
Yeah, not always here.
Yeah.
So who are you, Renae Kranz? Everybody is dying to. Who
Shirley.
is Renae Kranz?
I am. Let's see. Bill's making funny motions over there, and I just thought
Sometimes
for a second.
Sometimes we have to make Bill introduce himself at Ignition.
Yes,
but not
agreed.
today.
Okay. I am Renae Kranz. I am the director now of communications for the diocese and editor of the Bishop's Bulletin. Married to Ryan Kranz for 19 years. Is that right? 19 years.
As of June 12th?
As of June 8th. That was close. Lived in Sioux Falls for 16 years. Native of South Dakota. That's it, I guess.
Make up a security question answer right now.
Make up a security question answer?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Renee, we realized months ago, so midterm listeners, not long-term, midterm listeners, we talked about how you're giving all
kinds
personal
of
information
tidbits
away. People can use that to...
I better stop that.
Yes. So, Renee, did you know there's a diocesan vision?
I did.
You did. I would hope so. That's how that interim got dropped off. So that was the other thing.
I finally got it memorized, and then they're like, all right, fine.
So what is the diocesan vision, Renee?
Lifelong Catholic missionary discipleship through God's love. I found it interesting in your sheet here. You have it you have the initials.
Get the acronym.
Except that lifelong is one word, not two words.
I know.
And you have two L's here.
I do have two L's. There is two L's. There are. Thank you.
Two L's. That's bad.
I had to say it 3 times before you caught it.
I was just going to let you squirm, I guess. Be wrong. Yeah, that's a long acronym. I don't think we should use that.
LCMDTGL.
Looks like LCM Digital or something.
Just rolls off the tongue. LCMDTGL. Bill's
sure does.
Laughing over there. Yes. Listeners can't. So, Renee, before we get into habits of missionary discipleship, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Uh-oh. What
does the vision mean to you? So we have heard it for a long time. Mm-hmm. Some people roll their eyes when they hear the vision. Can't imagine. About that. No comment about that.
It's not me.
What?
In case you're listening, Bishop, I did not roll my eyes.
No. So kidding aside.
Yes.
What does the vision mean to you? Not Renae Kranz, director of communications for the Diocese of Sioux Falls. I want to know what Renae Kranz, member of the diocese, parishioner, Holy Spirit, baptized lay Catholic woman in the Diocese of Sioux Falls. What is it? You don't have to look at the paper. The answer's not in the paper.
I'm just
look
thinking.
At me.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I look up because I'm optimistic when I'm looking away, unlike you.
Would you like me to answer?
Is great. I love how we're starting. Like I'm feeling feisty today.
Terrifying.
No, but seriously, like how's it striking? You've heard because of your job,
Right.
You have heard it a lot, almost as much as some of us. How does it strike you?
Well, for me, it's just really about living your whole life as in a way that others can see that you're Catholic, I guess, in a way. Like taking the love of God and giving it to other people, which is what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the bishop just kind of condensed it. I don't know if it was the bishop's words or who put these words together for him exactly, but this was his idea anyway. But he just put that into these however many words and condensed it into something that just rolls right off the tongue. But yeah, I mean, it's really just, it's all about God's love first, which if you read the Bishop's Bulletin, you will learn for August.
Yeah, stay tuned for the August issue of the Bishop's Bulletin.
Yeah, it's about just taking that, giving it to other people, showing them the love of Christ and how they can make it work in their lives. Seems scary and difficult.
Why does it seem scary and difficult?
Because our society makes it scary and difficult.
Makes what scary?
Talking to people about faith.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're answering. So the first question is part of my teaser was, how do we live that vision?
Mm-hmm.
So you were just speaking a little bit to that yourself. Any other this whole episode's going to be about answering that question, but I'm just like that specific question. How do we live that vision? How would you answer that question? How do we? Okay, Renae Kranz. So maybe Ryan, your husband. Renee, you've been talking about this vision for months. How do we live that out, honey?
Sweetie.
I don't know what Ryan says to you.
There's Renee.
Okay. Renee.
Honestly, there's probably about as many ways to live it out as there are people on the earth.
Good
really,
answer.
there's not one right answer to that. I don't think, because it could be maybe you're an elderly person who's homebound. So what it looks like for you might be prayer for everyone else. Someone who's very active, out and about. Maybe they volunteer a lot. Maybe they do prison ministry. Maybe they go to the banquet and serve the banquet. Maybe they just talk to their relatives who aren't Catholic anymore or have questions or whatever. It's a million ways I think that you can do it. I'm sure you're going to tell us some very specific ones, though.
Maybe.
I hope so, because
you'll have to find. I'm going to wait till the end, and then
okay. Because though I say that there's like a million ways to do this, I think people are still wondering. Well, but
Absolutely.
how do I do that?
Yeah, and there are. Yeah. So the other question, the ultimate question of the teaser was, what are the habits of missionary discipleship? Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting at there, and what we're going to be discussing in particular is, what are the practices? So the sort of a riff on that Stephen Covey book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Mm-hmm. Father Dickinson, my one-time long co-host, he was not the guest co-host. He was the long time.
Oh, well, he's so special.
He graduated to that. He is very special. Father Dickinson, I did an episode several years ago, 7 Habits of Highly Faithful Catholics. Mm-hmm. Was that one? You can
so this is going to be a little bit like that. I imagine.
But a variation on it, because in light of the vision now,
yeah,
and just over time, kind of refined things down. So when you think of habits, practices that would foster missionary discipleship, so these are things that are going to help me grow as a missionary disciple. What would be some habits, some practices that come to your mind?
Well, I have to assume one of them is prayer.
That'd be a good assumption.
That would be, yeah. And probably frequenting the sacraments.
What? Let's get inside Catholic speak for a minute there.
Okay.
Frequenting the sacraments.
I usually don't talk like that. So now the one time I do, and you call me out on it.
No, but people are probably listening, and Catholics are listening.
Okay.
Well, that is how we talk.
Let me say it in Renee speak, because that is not how I talk.
Oh, okay.
Typically. So go to communion.
Okay.
Go to confession.
Okay.
Go to church.
Okay.
I guess if you're going to communion, you're probably going to church.
Probably.
Yeah.
Any other sacraments to frequent?
Probably those two, really. communion and
Okay.
confession. The other ones are like one-time deals, mostly. Yeah, yeah. You're only getting married once.
So
Am I missing one? I'm missing something obvious. What?
no, you're not.
Okay.
I am letting you, yeah. So trying to frame the question that I want. So your marriage, June 8th, 2001? 2002. June 8th, 2000. Yeah, my math. There we go. June 8th, 2002. You got married that day. Sacrament happened and the end.
No, but I mean, you don't like frequent the sacrament. You're just in it all the time. You're living it.
But there's,
I suppose.
Right. So so grace is okay. Pop quiz hot shot.
Uh-oh.
Sacrament of matrimony is grace. When is grace given?
Well, at the time of marriage, but also I would assume throughout. Boy, I sure hope so.
Amen, sister. So throughout, right? So there's a way where we're both married. So we and our spouses can continue to draw on the strength of the sacraments. So in light of that, what conclusions might we draw about other quote unquote one-time sacraments?
Well, that's true. So you're always drawing on your baptism and your confirmation.
Yes.
Confirmation especially.
Right. Both especially.
Yes, but yeah.
Why do you say confirmation?
Because you're receiving
especially?
the gifts of the Holy Spirit during confirmation
in order to
become a missionary disciple. Basically,
right? So
evangelize.
Baptism is sort of like the disciple sacrament in a sense. It makes you a son or daughter of our Father, part of the family. Yeah. And confirmation makes us part of the army.
Ooh, nice.
So
army.
But your first question. So that's all true, and so but we should go to the sacraments that we can't. We should draw on the sacraments that are one timers, but then we should frequent those sacraments which are multi timers.
Yes.
So prayer, frequent the sacraments. Any other habits that might help us grow in missionary discipleship that you can think of?
I would think hanging out with other good Catholics.
Oh.
Not all the time necessarily, but hanging out with them you have to evangelize. So there has to be other people you have to hang out with, right?
All right.
But I mean,
you can only handle so much.
Right. But, to hang out with other people who can help you deepen your faith and be faithful.
Yeah. So community.
Yeah.
Which can provide accountability. We talked about that last week with our episode. Don't you remember last week's episode, Renee?
Ask Bill. I have a terrible memory.
Accountability, working the plan, being intentional.
Oh, yeah.
What's your plan?
Right. I forgot all about that. That's why my plan doesn't work.
So we talked about that. That's right. I'm supposed to be holding you accountable to something. You remember what that was?
Yes, I do.
Community, not just for accountability, but also, to grow and walk
Support.
together. Right. Great. Any others come to mind? Habits that will help you foster a life of missionary discipleship.
I don't know if it's really a habit, but maybe to just, maybe it is. Get in the habit of stretching yourself to do things you wouldn't have maybe done before. I think that's got to be super important because most of us have never really done this before. We just kind of go on about our life, go to church on Sunday and.
Yeah. Any specific things come to mind? How can Renae Kranz stretch herself?
Well, I would say talking to people about, not being afraid of if a topic comes up to not just keep quiet necessarily.
So that's really, this is, we're eating into the time that I wanted, because this is really good. So
I'm wrecking all your plans.
No, we're touching on, we haven't gotten to one that I'm still waiting for you to name, Kranz. I think, so the whole thing about, we're afraid, we've never done this before. It's not like we have to go up to, not just stranger people, but even people who know, hi, let me tell you about religion. Let me tell you about Jesus. Have you been saved? No, maybe some of us are called to do that, or maybe we're at certain times. But your scenario is the much, much more realistic one, where somehow
comes up.
It comes up. there's a news topic. Maybe the Pope's in the news or the Bishop's in the news.
The Hyde Amendment right now, things like that.
Yeah. So things come up and somebody says something and you're painting the picture, or at least sketching the picture before I interrupted you, is exactly spot on where, okay, what am I going to do right now? Mm-hmm. Because faith has come up, maybe obliquely, indirectly, but do I take this as an opportunity to evangelize?
Right.
Or not? Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's important to emphasize, so it's always an opportunity to evangelize, but what do I do in this moment? The first thing you should do is pray. Lord, what do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. But then if he pokes at you, speak.
Say this.
Speak now or don't. Hold your peace.
Poking you.
Right. Then we should respond. But that's the much more likely scenario.
Yeah.
So so stretch it. So you maybe could be bold, courageous, and when those opportunities arise, which I'm sure they never do, we're at your job. To talk about
not at work really, but other places for sure.
Faith doesn't come up at your work?
Well, but not everybody pretty much, we all know this. Well, okay, we don't all know this stuff. We don't know everything, but I mean, we pretty much agree. We all work here.
I know, I'm kidding.
Stop making me.
I'm sorry. Great. So you were doing really well. So prayer, sacraments, community, stretching yourself. Anything else? To grow a habit, so habit implies something you can frequent, that you can do repeatedly and become second nature, but a practice, if you will, that you can do.
I can't think of anything else I can say on radio.
Okay. I'm going to ask when we're done recording what you have in mind, but for folks who are just tuning in and wondering what we are talking about, first of all, you're listening to Ignition. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald, visiting today with Renae Kranz about
the vision, lifelong Catholic missionary discipleship through
the
God's love.
habits of missionary discipleship, which help us live out the vision. But see, it's right there in the title.
How does one? Oh,
the
sorry.
Title, the big, it's
You
the big letters. People.
Okay, move along.
So prayer, and you know, just a couple episodes talked about praying and the reality of praying and how to pray. We talked about community and accountability. Sacraments, I want to talk about stretching yourself, but there's another one. So Romans 12:2, St. Paul wrote to the Romans, "Be transformed by the renewal of your
minds."
Oh.
Sure, of course.
Jesus.
How did I miss that one? That's like my favorite one.
Jesus said that we're called to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our strength, and all of our mind. So another habit. There are a lot of habits that we could list, but this is a great list to start with. So by the renewal of your mind, by loving the Lord your God with all your mind. What does that mean?
Well, I would say learning more about your faith.
Yeah.
There's probably a more eloquent way to say that, but
no,
read some stuff.
That's less eloquent way to put it.
No, that's more Renee-like.
Read some stuff. Listen to some podcasts, like Catholic Views. By the way, Renee, would you like to share with our listeners you have no idea. This is your opportunity to promote, to plug your show.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome.
This is my gift to you, Renee.
Okay. So, if you haven't listened, Catholic Views has actually been on the radio for many, many years. I was not the first host and I am the current host, but there's been several hosts over the years, and we talk about all kinds of things. I often have priests on to tell their stories about how they got their call to the priesthood, and
867-5309.
No. Oh. I think it's a good show. A lot of people like it.
Where will people find Catholic Views if they want to?
You can find it at our website, sfcatholic.org. You can also find it on YouTube if you want to watch it on TV, online, or Real Presence Radio. Sunday mornings, different times depending on where you are. Sioux Falls is 8:30. I know that. I don't know what the other ones are.
Okay. So a great show to tune in and find out more. Well, what's Catholic Views about?
Well, I would like it to be about what regular people are doing in their Catholic lives. But but I'm not really sure if that's what people want to hear.
Oh.
So if you can tell me what you want to hear, that would be great.
And they reached out to you.
R. Kranz at sfcatholic.org.
RKRANZ.
Yes.
RKRANZ at sfcatholic.org.
Because we do a lot of different things. Some things seem to be more appreciated than others. So if you have some suggestions, feel free.
Feel free to email
Yes.
Renee. So, commercial over. Habits
Do I
of
have to pay you for that?
missionary discipleship. In many, many ways.
Okay.
Learn some stuff, read some stuff, listen to some stuff. That's how we got done it.
Yes.
So listen to Catholic Views, listen to Ignition, all sorts of podcasts out there, all sorts of books out there. Listen to them. So, or consume content, as they say, as kids say these days. Somehow, why? So we're gonna walk back through a couple of these just in the time that we have left. Why learn about your faith?
You can't love what you don't know.
Oh,
we have talked
that's
about this
really
before,
good.
and I actually came up with the right answer this time.
So what does that mean?
You can't love your spouse. You wouldn't love your spouse if you didn't know them. Now you might be attracted to them, but if you don't know them, you're sure not going to probably want to spend the rest of your life with them.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to want to spend the rest of your life with Jesus either, if you don't know who he is.
Wow, that's kind of scary. So habits, Renee. So now, I don't think read some stuff is a habit though. So let's get just to help people start to imagine what this could look like for them. Either what you do now or what you could do. You can make it up. What would be a sustainable habit, a practice that I could do on some regular basis that would help me learn more about my faith?
Well, if you're not in the habit of doing it now, you might want to start with something small, like a podcast, because that's easier to maybe do when you're on the run or whatever, rather than reading a book. And not everybody is into reading, and I totally get that.
Yep.
So maybe you find a Catholic podcast you really like. Maybe you listen to Catholic Answers Live on Real Presence Radio at 5:00 on your drive home, whatever it might be. And that's a great way to learn a lot about your faith. And you can do it somewhat passively, but still get all the information you need. So I would start small with something like that. And then trust me, as you learn more, you will have a desire to learn more.
Right. Amen. And I would say, just to even more specify, don't let a week go by without somehow learning about your faith, whether it be listening to a podcast or an online homily.
We do post Bishop DeGrood's homilies whenever he does TV Mass on our social media. So,
right. Reading something, somehow, whether it's reading or listening or watching, don't let a week go by without. I think that's realistic, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Frequenting the sacraments, a specific goal or a specific habit. So obviously Catholics should be going to Sunday Mass.
Yes, please.
But what are some, when you think about frequenting the sacraments, what's a goal to propose that people could think about to propose?
Well, I've always heard, and I say that because I don't do it right now. I hate when you nail me. You like unintentionally put me in this position to say I don't do this. But I've heard that going to confession once a month is a good practice.
So why is that hard, Renee? Asking for a
I don't
friend.
sin in a month. That's
Good
obviously
answer.
incorrect.
I don't need to go. I mean,
It takes me at least a few months
Why?
to find something that's clearly wrong. I think we all, at least for me, I most of the time let the busyness of life get in the way of that.
So have
It's
a plan.
very, very
Last week's
easy to do.
episode. So be
Have a plan.
intentional about. Yeah, I completely. It is really easy if you're just skating along. Like, oh my gosh, it's been X months since my last confession.
Right.
That's where I think. So maybe one way to do it is to go, and then maybe some people will be like, seriously, Bergwald, but calendar it.
I was just going to say, put it on your calendar.
Put it on your calendar. All right, I went today. I'm going to go 4 weeks from now.
Right.
So maybe people, go ahead.
And maybe don't put it, like if you would always go to confession on a Saturday, don't put it on your calendar for Saturday, because trust me, you will have other things going on that Saturday. You'll be like, oh, I can't go.
Yep.
So you probably should put it on Thursday to say, hey, you should go to confession on Saturday.
Right.
I should go to confession on Saturday.
Yes. I'll hold you. I'm making a note to ask Renee. No.
Oh, heavens.
So many people can't get to daily mass just because
Right.
it's not possible. For those who are able to, maybe once a month, try to get
Right.
to daily mass
Yeah.
would be a good.
If you're in the Sioux Falls area, the noon mass at the cathedral
Yeah.
can be really easy for working people to get to because
Right.
you can do it over lunch and
Right.
it doesn't last the whole hour. It's 30, 35 minutes.
Yep.
So,
Maybe if you're able to get to a daily mass, if it works within your work schedule or daily schedule, shoot for like once a month and go from there. A visit to our Lord in the Eucharist, to Jesus in the Eucharist can be a good thing. So maybe that's maybe for that, because it's just, you can stop by your parish church or the cathedral.
you don't have to go to an adoration chapel.
No.
You can just pop into a church that's open.
So maybe a proposal there would be maybe try to do that also once a month or maybe once a week, wherever you're at, to like just be intentional.
If you're driving by a church, stop.
But to up it over time. So
Yes.
maybe you've been making monthly visits. Well, maybe twice a month.
Right.
now, that sort of thing.
Right. Make progress all the time.
Exactly. By the way, I want to the other thing, going back to the thing, pray. Okay, Lord, the Lord has a plan, right? So for your goals, like, ask Him to somehow reveal to you what your plan is. Prayer. We spent episode 465 talking about the reality of praying, but what would be a specific goal or habit to invite people to, especially at the beginning, to begin their prayer life?
One that I like is to ask God to put someone in front of you that you can evangelize. I use quotes in that because it may not be an explicit evangelization, but put someone in front of you in your life that you can evangelize.
There we go.
They'll show up.
That's it. They will show up. So again, asking God to do that. And then with prayer, if you're not praying now, start praying at least once a week. You're getting to Mass, maybe it's as part of your Sunday, you pray. If you've been praying weekly, we'll start to pray a little bit each day and go from there.
Right.
So I think just maybe to focus on, we talked about several good things, but prayer, sacraments, study, and community. Other people, I think, would be 4 good things. And within that, we gave some starter ideas, and then you can go deeper from there. Any final thoughts, Renee? 15 seconds?
If I say no,
do
you want me to waste that 15
Seriously?
seconds for you?
So never mind.
I don't have anything else. No, I think we covered it.
I think so too. So habits of missionary discipleship, folks. Hope that's helpful for you. And that will wrap up with this episode of Ignition. Again, you can email us, ignition@sfcatholic.org, with any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future episodes. Until next time, may God bless you.